afternoon, everybody. It's really nice to have all 20 of you on board. And as we look at philanthropy or business strategy, for corporate social responsibility, is it philanthropy or is it a business strategy? It's going to be brought to us today. Githinji is already, and we look forward to that. So to start us off, we wish to start with housekeeping. Please mute your mics. I believe we're used to this. This is our 24th webinar since COVID began. And then make use of the chat button on your top right, where you can ask any question, interact with us, and even engage. And after we do the housekeeping that I've just done, we will have Muriithi Ndegwa, the ED and CEO of KIM, introducing our keynote speaker today, who is Stephen Githinji. And thereafter, we'll do Q&A, and we wish to thank all members for sending in advance questions that we are going to be looking at today. And we shall have closing remarks brought to us by Muriithi Ndegwa, the ED and CEO of the Kenya Institute of Management. Feel comfortable, and I wish to welcome Muriithi Ndegwa to welcome the members.
Thank you very much, Phyllis. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to this webinar. As Phyllis has said, this is the 24th webinar that we are hosting, and we greatly appreciate the fact that you've been able to join us. Now, if you're a business owner, the days of operating solely for profit, we understand, are long gone. And I'm sure the speaker is going to be telling us a little bit about that. Whilst this is obviously still important, many companies are now focusing largely on corporate social responsibility. And the question that comes in is corporate social responsibility, what is it? And people say that this is when a company operates in an ethical and sustainable way, and it deals with environmental issues and societal impacts in a proper and sociable way. This means, therefore, careful consideration of human rights, the community, the environment, and society in which the company operates. And we believe that it's also very important that your company operates in a way that demonstrates social responsibility. And although it's not a legal requirement, it's seen as good practice for you to take into account, and especially so in regard to social and environmental issues. Today, we are delighted to have none other than Mr. Stephen Githinji. He's going to be talking to us about CSR, philanthropy or business strategy. And that is a question that we believe Stephen is going to take us through in the discourse that he's going to be taking us through a little later. But before I end, let me give a quote by Klaus Schwab, who says, and I quote, "The concept of corporate social responsibility, or CSR, has long been used as an effective lens through which to examine the actions business can take towards ensuring mutual long-term well-being and sustainability." End of quote. Without further ado, allow me now to invite Mr. Stephen Githinji. And now, Mr. Stephen Githinji is a professional marketer and project management specialist. Mr. Stephen Githinji is a business leader with over 20 years of experience in the pharmaceutical and healthcare industry. His professional background is sales, marketing, commercial operations, and project management. And he has interest in sustainability, social entrepreneurship, and public-private partnerships. Stephen is currently consulting on sustainable business models. Ladies and gentlemen, please allow us to invite Mr. Stephen Githinji to take us in the discourse on the question that we raised. And this is CSR, philanthropy or business strategy. Thank you very much. And Stephen, the floor is yours. We can give him the ululations as usual. And Stephen, welcome on board. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Muriithi, for the introduction. I'll start by appreciating this opportunity to share my thoughts on corporate social responsibility. And I'll share my thoughts on the same and try to answer the question whether CSR is philanthropy or strategy, whether it's both. Now, when you think of CSR, the big companies or big brands come into mind. And I checked on Safaricom sustainability report, and I saw them sharing two of their programs, which is M-Pesa Foundation Academy and some CSR programs. I also looked at a global brand, Coca-Cola, and looked at some of the programs they've done. What stands out for me is what they call plant bottle, the use of recyclable PET plastic bottles. This is close to me because I'm an environmentalist at heart. They've also done work around prevention of HIV, mother-to-child transmission, and they've also been doing work around empowering women by involving them in the value chain. Now, to look at evolution of CSR as a concept, there has been quite some debate that goes back to mid-20th century. The first about was born in 1983. It took entitled Social Responsibilities of Business. A lot of conversations has been on CSR, how it is developed by corporations and how much it affects the firm's competitiveness. Surprisingly, in spite of many definitions and theoretical frameworks, there has not been consensus on the exact meaning of the term. Votal in 1972 had a perspective that went by CSR means something, but not always the same thing to everybody. This is because for some individuals or organizations, CSR is a legal responsibility or ability. For some, it's a socially responsible behavior in an ethical sense. For some, it's making charitable contribution. For some, it's being socially conscious. For some, it's legitimacy in the context of belonging or being proper or valid. Or it could be fiduciary duty, imposing our standards. So what is corporate social responsibility? There are many synonyms that have been used to describe the same. These include corporate conscience, corporate citizenship, social performance, and sustainable responsible business. I would want to look at the simplest, a simple definition of CSR as corporate self-regulation that is integrated into the business model. Alternatively, for the purpose of this discussion, we can look at CSR as a commitment to be accountable to all the stakeholders for the business. Now, there are four main approaches to social responsibility. We have the obstructive approach, the defensive, the accommodating, and the proactive. In the mix of running the business, because the focus is just profit. It's more, as the name is, more of reactive. They need to only react to situations. And with accommodating, they will just do enough in terms of meeting legal requirements and ethical standards. However, the best place to be as an organization would be to be proactive. And proactive, ethics is part of the company DNA. It's in the mission statement, and the company deliberately does what it takes to avoid harm to the environment, its employees, and all its stakeholders. Now, when we talk of CSR, we cannot run away from discussing sustainability. Sustainability in regard to both the business and also the environment. And for many years, performance of organizations was measured based on profitability. But things have changed over time. And now the new thinking is that a business should look at both the bottom line and sustainability of the business. I'll talk of, as somebody who's coming marketing back, I'll talk of sustainability and growth. There's a thinking of what has been called triple bottom line. And with triple bottom line, we are saying that a business that is sustainable should guarantee economic prosperity, environmental quality, and social justice. Mawick described this as economic responsibility, environmental responsibility, and social responsibility. Then there has also been the thinking of the new bottom line. And with this, the thinking is CSR program should be developed with the impact on corporate sustainability in mind. And with this, we are looking at CSR as creating value, such that as you invest in CSR programs, you impact on the communities and the society, but the business also benefits. Then CSR as a risk management tool, this is more so with regard to reputation. We know reputation is a double-edged sword. It cuts both ways. When your company has good reputation, it's been associated to growth in terms of turnover and profit. And you also know what happens when there's reputational damage. It can cause the business both in terms of top line and bottom line. Now, why are organizations devoting a lot of attention to CSR as a way of sustaining themselves? Now, we are living in a world that has been globalized with a lot of cross-border trade, and a lot of supply chains have been globalized. So when a company is conducting business in an ethical manner, it gives them an edge over other companies competing at a global level and competing within the supply chain for raw materials or pushing out their product to the market. Then the other reason why companies have to take CSR very seriously is because governments are also trying to bring in some level of regulation to ensure that there's ethical practice within the different sectors of the economy. And again, with advance in communication technology, it becomes very easy to track the activities of a company, and information dissemination is very quick. So again, every organization would want to be to make sure that the image out there is positive and helps drive the growth of the business. Again, we have consumers who are very informed, consumers and investors who are informed and aware of what is happening in the marketplace, and they want to associate themselves with organizations that are ethical and that are socially responsible. So customers will choose to consume products from companies that they consider to be socially responsible or ethical, and so do investors when they're choosing where to put their money. Again, I've talked about the implications of breach in terms of ethics and social responsibility. And again, citizens are setting standards. And I'll see this more in terms of civil society movement. Recently, you remember there was a situation in Syokimau where residents in a neighborhood were up in arms against a farm that was causing pollution. And I remember the case, the company having to shut operations for some time, pending termination of the nature of the operations and the harm the activities were doing to the environment. Again, the reason why we need to have companies acting ethically and in a socially responsible manner is because the government can do so much in terms of registration. Business is changing over time. All of us are aware of the scandal that was known as Enron and changed the way business is done. We all remember the global financial crisis of 2008. There's the issue of Nike and the use of child labor in Pakistan, and it had quite a big impact on the reputation of Nike. There are a lot of talks on climate, global warming, and how to conserve how to tame the change in climate and global warming. And again, the complexities of doing business are changing by the day. And then we are saying that the media, the so-called for the state, are the watchdog, and there are a lot of high-profile media campaigns to hold companies accountable. Now, to sustain a business in a manner that is ethical and socially responsible, some of the key things that a company should consider is affirmative commitment to sustainable business practices. And this is best when this is incorporated into the corporate identities of the company. As we said, the stakeholders want to associate themselves with companies that are socially responsible. Again, in most countries, it's become a requirement for companies that are trading the stock exchange to issue sustainability reports on an annual basis. So again, that means then for a company to sustain their business, they need to do their business right and ensure that their reports reflect what is actually happening with their operations. And again, there's a lot of focus on corporate governance and sustainability in terms of how organizations are managed. Now, back to the question of whether CSR is philanthropy or it's a business strategy. My take is it's both. And any organization that wants to sustain itself, that wants to achieve growth, needs to harmonize their CSR programs. How do they do this? The important thing is to align the programs with the company's business purpose. So if you're in the healthcare industry, like the industry I've worked in for many years, align the programs to that sector. Again, align the values of the company to that, align the programs with the values of the company's important stakeholders. And again, align the programs with the needs of the communities. Also important to achieve harmonization of CSR programs is ensuring that the CSR programs are well coordinated and the programs within the portfolio are interdependent. By doing this, you realize that some of the initiatives will create shared value, and shared value is where all the stakeholders gain, the firm and other key stakeholders, be they the community, be they the suppliers, the customers. That is the most ideal. You also realize that with some programs, you create more value to the society. This could be by intended or by default. Now, the other scenario that you realize when you harmonize the CSR programs is that you can create value primarily for the society. And this is what I would call philanthropy. Philanthropy has been associated with building the reputation of the company, and with the good reputation, with the improved reputation, studies have shown that as the reputation of a company grows, the growth there's growth in business and growth in profitability. Now, for many years, I worked for a company called GlaxoSmithKline, and I was involved in global health programs, and I had the opportunity to participate in one of the flagship CSR programs called the Pulse Volunteer Program. And I'll talk about this because this one program that tries to arrive, that was aligned with the mission of the company. What I did was I took a break of 6 months, went to Nigeria and worked with a not-for-profit partner called the Clinton Health Access Initiative. And what was expected of me was to work in a program, initiate, bring in innovative ideas, implement them, and have my initiatives drive the program that I was working in, and ensure that the impact outlives my being in that program. That 6 months after I left the program, whatever initiated should be seen to be having an impact on the community that we are serving. And you can see that in 2009, we had 637 employees who had, sorry, in 2016, we had 637 employees who had participated in this program in 60 countries. This program benefits the community in terms of employees donating their skills. It benefits employees in helping them realize personal growth and career growth. And as I've said, for corporates to make the best of CSR, a lot of alignment has to be done with the purpose of the business. Subsequent to this, I've also been involved in developing strategies for social enterprises, and especially in regard to private-public partnerships. For my master's, I studied sustainability, and I looked at sustainability of donor-funded projects after the donor funding has been stopped. Yeah, and I would say I have a lot of interest in sustainability, and especially where the private and the public sector partners with the private sector. Now, to throw a spanner into the works, CSR is one very complex conversation, and there has been some interesting questions that have been asked about some corporations like tobacco companies that are seen to sell poison that could cause that are slow acting and addictive in the name of making profit. We all use vehicles, and these vehicles use petrol or diesel. And again, there has been the thinking that the vehicle gives us convenience in terms of mobility, but pollutes the environment. The technology sector is seen to be very good in the sense of like it enables communicate. Right now, in the comfort of so many of us are attending this meeting in the comfort of our office or homes. But again, there's also been a lot of discussions around disposal of the IT hardware. So this means that the tech sector is not any better than tobacco or an auto industry. I want to finish with a quote from a gentleman called John Costa, who said that not long ago, the concerns of ecology were as relevant to business planners as those of the ethicists are today. Green has gone from being a disparagement to becoming a badge that no smart company would risk being out. Ethics are similarly endued to becoming a strategic imperative. So, in my view, doing ethical business, being a corporate that is socially responsible, is a strategic pillar to survival and growth of any corporate. Thank you for listening to me.